Hello, my name is MrTieDye, and today I'm demonstrating how to tie a cross onto a t-shirt. So what we've started with is a t-shirt that's already been soaked in soda ash. It's still damp and it's been turned inside out and centered with just the front pulled forward. So that's where we want to start at. If you need to know how to center a t-shirt, I do have a video on that, so you can go check on it. The next thing I'm going to use, I have this template that's a half of a cross. It just makes it easier for me to quickly draw this on, because a cross is one of the designs that you need nice proportions to make it look right. So I'm going to center it right down the middle of the t-shirt and about 4 inches or 4 fingers from the collar, the neckline of the t-shirt. So I'm going to lay it on there. I'm going to use a washable marker. I'm going to draw my design on. Okay, once I have the design drawn on, then I'm going to start with the folding. Let's zoom in just a little bit. So to start with, I'm going to start at the top of the cross, and I'm going to do just a couple little folds. And this is something just to get my folding where I want. At each one of these corners, I'm going to have to kind of play around with it, because I want my last fold in a direction to be the end of a line. So if you can see right here, this here is one of those corners, and it's at the bottom part of this fold here. And the reason I do that is to make it easier for this other line, because I'm basically going to fold it up at an angle so that it lines up with my other folds. Let me zoom in a little bit more here. So as I'm folding that up, this next line is lining up, and then I can move my t-shirt around. And let's see if I can get in the middle of the screen. And then I'm ready to fold a straight line again. And once I get to the end of that fold, I'll want to try and do the same thing. So sometimes I have to do either an extra big fold or a little fold. And it all will be determined as you get to the end point here. See, I got a little bit left over, so I'm going to make this other fold a little bit bigger. And that way I'm at the end of the line. Here we go. I'm at the end of this line once again, so that I can now take this and I reach underneath, and I'm basically doing that half fold in there to line that next one up, because I want to try to keep all of these lines across the top fairly straight. So now I'll turn my t-shirt around again. I always like to have the part that I'm folding straight out from my creases here. So I'm going to fold each one of those. And this one I think I'll end up just perfect right at the end of my line here. And you can see some of the lines aren't exactly straight. You want to try and get as close as possible, but just the thickness of one line is not going to make that much of a difference. So now I'm going to fold that next part of the cross up, fold that down, straighten my t-shirt out. I guess I can zoom out for part of this. And I'm just going to keep working until I can get all the way down to the bottom of the cross. So here's another one of my 90-degree turns. And this is one, it just takes some practice. You just have to keep working at it to kind of get your fingers in the right places to line things up and get it to lay flat once you do. So I'll lay that down. So you can see my line isn't perfectly straight, but it's straight enough I've done enough of these crosses to know that that's close enough. So you want to just keep it as straight as possible, but it doesn't have to be perfect, because once again, this is tie-dye. Okay, now I'm getting ready to work on my last long line. That's why I start at the top of the cross, because the bottom part is the easiest just to fold it in there. I'm going to fold that line up, line it up here, and lay that down. And now I'm going to have my home stretch here. This last bit of a fold is easy to do. Once I get to the bottom, I have just one more 90-degree turn to go around. And then we're done. And this is another one that I use kite string, and that helps hold things in place. So once again, I have the end of that line is right at the bottom of the crease. So now I can take this other one, and let's see if we can show that. I'm going to fold that up and lay it out flat. Everybody see that? Okay, here we go. And down on the, I guess this is technically the home stretch. There's the last fold. So now that's going to be the cross. So I'm going to use the kite string on this one. And the kite string helps. I can go ahead and fold up above the cross here just to kind of gather that t-shirt in place, and then I wrap the cross line, and then I'll go ahead and wrap inside the cross just to hold that together. And then what I can do on the back side is draw this line in, and then that will be ready for dyeing. And then the rest of the cross, I'm just going to scrunch this up. But this here is my cross here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so everybody can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to start out, I'm going to dye the cross in turquoise. So I have my little tiny bottle here, and what I usually do is I'll start out a little ways away from the line, and because the dye is going to spread. If I put the dye right at the line, then I would risk it spreading to the other side. So you have to kind of work with the dye, know what it's going to do, and I'll just keep getting closer and closer to the line and let the dye spread on its own. And that way I know later on it's not going to want to spread too far if I've started back from the line ahead of time. So once I get this all dyed on one side, I'll flip it over. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'll start back from the line and let it spread, and then I'll just slowly get closer and closer to the line and just watch what the dye is doing. Okay, and there's my turquoise line. And then what I'm going to do, I want to leave a little bit of white around the cross just to kind of outline it. So I'm going to put just a little bit of just thickened water right along that line. And that'll kind of help hold space a little bit when I put my next color on. I think I'm going to dye this in purple. So this thickened water is going to help keep the purple dye from spreading all the way up to there. So once again, I'm going to start back from my line and let the dye spread, and then I will add more dye. Oops, almost had a mishap. So I'll start back and let the dye spread on its own. And then slowly I'll move in closer until I have about the size of the gap that I want in there. So, and then for the rest of this, I'm just going to color the whole thing all in the purple. And then I will do a reveal video showing what the t-shirt looks like. And then I'll probably post a picture of the t-shirt in the comments so that you can get a better look at it. But this has been the cross dye and check out my earlier video on how to tie it, and then you can tie up your own cross tee. Thank you for watching. Okay, the next design is the cross. I'll open this one up. Okay, and there's the cross.